Hey, I'm Jonas Konijnenberg. I'm slacklining for 10 years right now, and in 2015 a major knee injury took away all my slackline dreams, and I thought I was never able to highline again. In effect, I recovered and I'm stronger than ever nowadays, and this path of recovery brought me a lot, and I learned a lot in it, and I would really like to share you this path and give you some lessons in how to prevent such an injury yourself or to recover from one. This video is kind of a follow-up on the presentation I gave together with Dan for the ISA in the lockdown series. If you want to see that, it's very useful because there's a lot of background information that I'm not gonna go through during this video, but that might be very interesting for you. So check that out as well. In this video I'll talk about a few things. First, how I got injured. Second, how did I recover from the injury? Third, what did I learn from this road of recovering? After that I will tell you what do I do right now not to get injured again? And at last, why do I think now that I'm stronger than ever before? So, how did I get injured? Well, let me first go back to 2015, 5 years ago. I was slacklining for 5 years at that time, and I was getting pretty good at it. Things were really taking off for me. I was part of the Selectivity International crew. I was part of Dreamwalkers, and with Dreamwalkers we started to do quite some highline shows. So I was really full-time slackline professional, so that was really nice. I achieved that, was really happy with that. And all my work was slackline related. And I wanted to do everything to get better and slackline more. So with Tom Peek from Dreamwalkers we were doing a highline show in West Germany. And there was a 60 to 70 meter highline to a cooling tower. And that was a super cool line, and at that time it was my personal best. And I was really starting to get into these longer lengths of highlines. Basically we did shows from 6 p.m. to 12 p.m. All night, and because it was my personal, the longest that I've ever did so far, we were also practicing in the morning. I think in total we did 10 shows, highline and jump line, so in all that was way too much. Well, it went very good until the last jump line show. There I did something weird. I tried to do some kind of fast chongo mount, and I just felt a huge pain burst, a snap in my knee, and I was like, no, this is not good. So luckily I didn't do the show. I went down, Tom did the show. That was really nice of him, and I knew it was wrong. So I went in the normal healthcare system. They took some MRIs of my knee and they found out my meniscus was broken. And if you want to know more about why my meniscus broke during a chongo mount, then it's good to really check the lockdown series episode that I did with Dan, because there we did a full analyze on the chongo mount and all the different mounts. And we found out that the chongo mount has the highest amount of stress on the knee. I can show you real quick on the rodeo here. So in a chongo mount you're sitting long on one leg, so imagine you're squatting on one leg all the time, and there's a lot of force on this single knee, and then in the end you try to stand up. Now, especially because this was a line that was hard for me, I probably sat very often, very long that day in this position, and after a full day the intention was just too big. The intensity on my knee was just too big and it snapped. Why is a sit start a little bit better? Because you're sitting, so the most of the time you're bringing in this position and there's not so much force on your knee now, and then you stand up. Or a knee drop mount is the same, you're sitting here and then you stand up. So those are a little bit better in that way, and if you want to see a full thing about that, check that lockdown series episode. So, how did I recover? I did some MRIs and I checked it with a real sports doctor, and she was treating some gymnastics with the same knee injury, and she said hey, it's better not to do the surgery on your meniscus, because on the long term it will have less complications. And it is, yeah, you can live with a broken meniscus. It's no problem. Otherwise, I would just cut it out. And yeah, the meniscus definitely has some important functions like dampening while you're running, for example. So I decided to so after the doctor, I did some conventional physical therapy training, some exercises, and yeah, I think two months later they said like, hey, you should be good now, and yeah, go back in your life and go do the things. And yeah, I couldn't really do still the same thing with this knee. So I learned a chongo with my left side. My right side is injured. I was chongoing always like this, and then I learned the chongo with the other way, so reversed. So that's what I did, and that's how I got better, and I was able to highline again. That went pretty good that summer, until we went for so my injury happened in June, and then all summer it went quite okay, didn't have so much problems. And in, I think, October, we went for a big Dreamwalkers project where we had 100 and 200 meter highlines. At that time, a week before us, the 200 meter, the highline world record was set to 220 meters or so by Jet. He walked it in Monte Piata. That was what we did was close to the world record, and at the same time also close to my personal capabilities. Well, my project went great. I progressed a lot. I was able to session on the 100 meter, and yeah, I was super satisfied with that. But on the way back, after the long drive, it's like 10 hours drive from the south of France where we were to the Netherlands, I noticed my left knee would just, when I stood out the car, it was just locked and I couldn't move it, and I realized like, hey, this is sign of again a knee injury, and I should stop with this. I shouldn't do this. I don't want to risk wasting this knee as well. So at that time I kind of thought highlining was over, because I did chonga mounts, I couldn't do a sit start, and yeah, these were my options. And if it starts hurting, it's not good, you know. I didn't want to risk another injury, so I kind of gave up a little bit. But it was for another Dreamwalkers project, the biggest one we did in the Faroe Islands, that I got motivation to change something, because I really wanted to be present there, of course. Didn't just want to say like, hey, I can't highline anymore. And I discovered the dynamic knee drop mount, and that helped me a lot in standing up again, and got me stoked again to train, and made it realize me like, hey, I can do this, regardless that I have some permanent damage on this knee. So that was in 2017, and since then I'm highlining again fully. But I also realized that, especially in a sport like slacklining, where you're like specializing in basically standing up, you always got to stand up on a highline, which is a lot of force on your knees. So you need to become really good in that. So injuries are always possible, and that kind of made me like want to research ways how to heal myself or how to make myself stronger. And I got a little bit into movement, and that made me realize a few things. It made me realize, by following a lot of classes, by eventually doing a teacher education training, that I still have some kind of scar tissue, which is okay, I can live with that. But I saw myself as kind of a victim of like, hey, this is always my problem and I can't do specific things. I kind of changed my habit of dealing with that by giving it what it needs to heal again. Because if you want to heal it, you need to give it a specific load that you want to be able to do. If you're not doing that, how would it ever heal? So that gives me to the next point. What did I learn from this road? What did I learn from my recovery? Well, my injury, it came because I was doing too much of the same stuff. Because I was long lining and highlining a lot, my body was kind of monotone trained. I realized as well that mounts on a slackline require quite some mobility in hips, in knees, in ankle. And there's a big variation between every individual, how good you are naturally in that. So some need a lot of training in that and others don't. They have it naturally. I am someone where, like, if you can look at how this is, I cannot get closer almost. Like this, there's always a gap, which makes it harder with a sit start, for example. But it doesn't make it impossible, because they say everything is trainable. So for me to attain a healthy slack life, I need to do some offline training, some mobility training on the ground to keep my body supple, mobile and agile and flexible, all these things. One more thing that I realized is by doing a lot of mobility training with a lot of kneeling, squatting, sitting, down on the stable ground, that helps me in doing all kind of mounts on the slackline. I want to give my body a lot of information of dealing in these angles and positions of a mount. If I'm not able to do that on the ground, why would I be able to do that in a more complex situation where I would crash on the ground or fall on my leash, which I don't want, on a highline. So I want to give my body a lot of information in these positions. And this whole process, it's a constant journey. You can always learn, you can always find new things in this, and if you don't follow this journey, you will wear out and you will likely to get injuries. And that's maybe what I did. I trusted on my capabilities of highlining, and I just went on a highline and expected my body to be able to do that, because in the past I was. Found a nice metaphor. Along the road you'll find some speed limits, which is your limit. You want to touch the speed limit, but you don't want to break the speed. So if you feel like, hey, this is my limit of my physical capability, that's good, you feel it, and that's okay. And if you touch that often enough and don't break it, because then you would likely to break something in your body, you'll be able to progress slowly but steady. Okay, next point. What do I do now to stay fit and healthy and strong and mobile? Well, like I mentioned already, I spend a lot of time of training on the normal, easy, flat ground for slacklining. I do a lot of moves with bent knees, which can be already like how I'm sitting right now, you know, just like sitting like this in multiple positions, while reading, while working. If you sit in multiple ways, it's really good. I found, but these were more like passive examples that I gave. I do some more like dynamic, where I'm just going around, trying all these possibilities to give my body enough information in these moves. I also do some strength exercises in this, some more like squat specific things, in all kind of weird positions with my knee as well. I do that in a way that it doesn't feel like training. I'm just kind of flowing through some movements. In order to do this, you need a training period where you train these exercises individually, and therefore, you know them and you can flow through them, and it feels more like playing, some kind of capoeira dance or something, which I really like. So what I do now is that I try to do always some kind of exercise in this way, so I keep the load on my body kind of high. Why? Because imagine you're highlining for a week. You don't want after day 4 that your body wears out, because it doesn't. It is not capable of doing all these things for a week. So if I keep this intensity high on my body will less likely to be overloaded in a week of highlining. Next to lower body training, I showed some examples already. I do also like upper body training, like a lot of hanging and some kind of stuff with my shoulders. Because your shoulders are precious too, and you use them a lot for highlining, hanging, climbing up. So you definitely want to preserve them too, you know. So I try to be very playful in my exercises, and I try to not organize it too much, because I play and I don't exercise, because exercising I find boring and playing I find fun, and that's the way how I always am able to exercise, and it never feels like I'm doing work. So one important lesson is more like that, when I'm also training when I'm not training, you know, like if I just by sitting like this instead of just the normal way on a chair, you already train a little bit and your knee is getting used to some positions. And I was never doing that before. So that's really helping me in being mobile. So why do I think now that I'm stronger than before? Well, first of all, and most important, I have a lot more power and more strength in standing up on a high line. I stand up with a knee drop mount. It's the easiest way with my body. And yeah, if I do the knee drop mount, if you're able to put force and strength on this leg, the mount becomes easier. And I can show you some exercises that look very similar to the knee drop mount. If I do, for example, a sissy squat. That's the same amount of pressure, tension, and knee angles that are happening in a knee drop mount. So yeah, I can put force in every angle and every situation that I'm mounting a high line, and it feels very nice because I know exactly what's going on because I practice this a lot on the ground too. So that's the biggest advantage, why I feel stronger now. Next to that, I feel stronger in my body because I know its capabilities, I know its limitations, and yeah, I work with my body, you know. It's not just like, hey, I need to be able to stand up and my body doesn't do it this way. Well, if my body doesn't do it this way, I can find another way, and I know that other way because I know my body. Next to that, I know how to condition my body, so I'm learning now how to do a sit start, which is slowly getting there. And yeah, that helps me just to realize that it's not just a move that I have to learn and I have to hammer it through, but it's just a slow progression, and I know like, hey, my body and my joints need to adjust a little bit, and that's a long process. So I've got the patience for that now, and yeah, the capability to go slow and steady in progress, because imagine I want to go fast, and maybe I am succeeding fast, but then I'm asking so much from my body that I get injured, and then the progression is eventually slower because I'm injured, you gotta wait again, and that will take you way longer. So the slower the progress, the better almost. And it didn't stop here because of all my knowledge and my experience over these past years in this, I come with new exercises every week almost, and it's really fun because therefore I'm progressing, and I know it's like, hey, I can use this, how to learn a rocket mount, and oh, this is for my shoulders, and oh, hey, wow, I just noticed way more connections and transfers in movements. That's only giving me more confidence to be able to slackline and to continue with this. So that's really great. So this video is just to show my path and to show you where I'm coming from. There are some more videos coming with some specific examples of exercises. It's not in this video yet. Check that out. It's going to be multiple levels because not everybody is the same. Like I said, one person has to start way more gentle than the other. And if you got any questions about this subject, please hit me up, and I hope I can help you in the right direction with this. And yeah, it's helpful to see my path. So thank you for watching. Bye bye.